An incredible secret revealed. Follow me to discover a surprising truth that changes everything. Jenna Thompson stood in the dim glow of her cramped kitchen, her fingers trembling as she clutched a stack of bills that seemed to grow heavier by the day. A wave of exhaustion crashed over her. It was another grueling night shift at Maplewood Hospital, and yet here she was, relegated to the role of financial juggler at home. As the clock ticked ominously, the thought of her rebellious son, Tyler, loomed larger than the pile of overdue notices. With each passing day, his anger spiraled further, the shadows of adolescence clouding their once close bond. She hesitated, questioning if she could keep it all together. Would a reprieve from the burden of single motherhood even exist? The ringing of her phone snapped Jenna back to reality. It was her sister, relaying news of an unexpected inheritance. Her grandmother's farmhouse, a dilapidated relic filled with memories of warmth and resilience. Maplewood always adored Grandma Ruth, the town's beloved pie maker. But to Jenna, the house was a crumbling structure, chained by her childhood memories. Torn between the allure of a fresh start and the daunting thought of renovations, she felt a flicker of possibility awaken within her. Could this be a way to escape the suffocating cycle of duty and despair? Or would it unveil secrets best left buried? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each weekend she spent chipping away at the house, layers of dust revealed hidden treasures. Letters crammed into crevices. Forgotten photographs of ancestors battling societal prejudice. Their artistry shining through despair. Jenna felt tethered to a history she hadn't known existed, igniting a yearning for her own buried dreams of artistry. But as the pressure of work compounded, a deep-seated anxiety squirmed within her. Could she truly dig into those dreams while navigating the raging storm of her son's angst and her financial woes? It was as if she were teetering on a precipice, afraid of losing her grip on both mothering and self-worth. Tyler's descent simmered in their small home. Days blurred into one another as he slipped further into avoidance tactics, skipping school, rebelling against authority, all a cry for understanding that Jenna struggled to interpret amidst her turmoil. Did he resent her? Burdened by the weight of her career and familial legacy? The thought gripped her with icy fingers. What if he fell further? The fear of his potential slipping away was paralyzing, echoing with every sigh from the attic that now felt like a ticking bomb. Jenna found herself at her grandmother's old easel one night, a wave of inspiration crashing over her as she flicked through the letters, soaking up their emotions. A painting, hiding beneath dust, pulsed with a truth Jenna had yet to confront. It spoke to her wild, rebellious heart. But would her rekindled passion serve to lift Tyler, or merely exacerbate the divide? The sense of urgency sharpened. Could she transform their festering wounds into a lifeline for both of them? Or were they destined to spiral even further apart? A visceral dread coursed through her. It felt as if they were entwined in a web of unresolved history, with every thread tightening just when she thought there was hope. What hidden truths awaited them in the depths of their family legacy, leaving Jenna gripped with a disquieting tension? The mystery seemed poised to unravel, but would they be strong enough to face it? As the autumn leaves fell and blanketed the ground in a swath of orange and rust, Jenna stood before her grandmother's easel with the thrum of anticipation coursing through her veins. The memories she unearthed, the letters filled with heartache and hope, had become a siren call, pulling her deeper into the past. Painting was no longer just an escape. It was becoming a lifeline, a means to confront the very essence of who she once dreamed of being. Yet tension loomed. Each stroke of paint felt monumental, laden with intention and fear. Jenna questioned whether this newfound passion could be the balm she and Tyler needed, or if it would instead widen the chasm between them. As she splashed bright colors on the canvas, something inside her stirred. Could she channel the beauty of those forgotten letters into art that might resonate with her son, bridging their growing rift? Tyler had been absent lately, more than just physically. Jenna's heart sank at the thought of his silence, a stark contrast to the boisterous boy who often held her hand as they ventured into town. Each morning, she hoped the shadows she sensed in him would lift, like fog dissipating in sunlight. Yet, with every tightened expression and every slamming door, hope slipped further away. What had happened to their bond? One evening, Jenna thought back to the old paintings she had just unearthed in the attic, each depicting a story of resilience and love, created by the very woman who had once held her hand through adversity. Perhaps Tyler needed to see this, to understand the power of creation, of turning pain into beauty. The next weekend, she'd invite him to the farmhouse. They would paint together, share stories, and perhaps reignite the warmth that had once knit their hearts together. Plans swirled through her mind as she prepared for bed. But that night, sleep eluded her. With her mind racing, Jenna wandered into the dim kitchen, the weight of the bills still heavy. She questioned the decisions that had led her to this point. The job she adored but that consumed her life. The single motherhood that both fulfilled and suffocated her. Did she have it in her to be an artist and a mother? Or would one side have to perish? Early the next morning, as golden light trickled through graying clouds, Jenna's phone rang, cutting through her thoughts. It was her sister again, this time with whispers of family secrets that lingered within the walls of the farmhouse. "You won't believe what's hidden in the basement," her sister teased, a sense of mystery thickening the air between them. Jenna's heart raced. What more lay beneath the surface of her grandmother's life? What awaited her in the recesses of that dilapidated farmhouse? Armed with a painter's brush and a heart full of questions, Jenna resolved to uncover the stories waiting within the walls of her family legacy. The following evening she carefully arranged her paints and prepared a canvas, drawing a deep breath filled with purpose. But would unearthing those truths heal her fractured relationship with Tyler? Or would it further complicate the fragile thread binding them? As she began to paint, longing in her heart, she realized she was on the precipice of revelations that could either cement or shatter their bond. What would she uncover in that basement? And how would it change everything she thought she knew about herself and her family? The answers beckoned just below the surface. The day arrived for Jenna to confront the mysteries nestled within the basement. An echo of the past, draped beneath layers of dust and neglect. She stood before the old farmhouse, inhaling the crisp autumn air. The wooden door creaked under her touch, each sound a reminder of the stories hidden behind weathered walls. She could almost hear the whispered accounts of love and loss that waited patiently to be unearthed. With each step down the crooked stairs, a tension wound tight in her chest, lodging itself between her ribs. The dim light barely penetrated the musty air as she flicked on the overhead bulb. Dust motes danced in the narrow beam, illuminating a room brimming with forgotten objects. Stack upon stack of boxes, a rusty bicycle, and furniture wrapped in sheets like ghosts of memory. Jenna's mind raced with questions, a chaotic jumble that threatened to drown her resolve. She approached the far wall where her sister suggested treasures might lie, her heart pounding in a rhythm that both terrified and exhilarated her. As she began rummaging through the boxes, she caught fleeting glimpses of items that resonated with her grandmother's past. A faded quilt, a tin box adorned with intricate carvings, and several jars filled with marbles glistening like colorful memories trapped in glass. But it was a small, weather-beaten trunk that made her breath catch. The lock was rusted, begging to yield its secrets. With a deep breath, she pried it open, and the lid creaked in protest. Inside, neatly folded papers stared back at her. Letters, photographs, and remnants of a life that had been rich with experience, yet perhaps fraught with heartache. As she unfolded the letters, the ink still fluid in its emotion. Tears blurred her vision. Each piece drew her deeper into the narrative of her grandmother's struggles. Letters of love to a partner lost too soon, confessions of struggle against societal expectations, and fierce declarations of independence. It was not just the pain documented within those pages. It was wisdom forged through adversity, a roadmap of resilience. Jenna sat back on her heels to process the weight of the discoveries around her. Each letter was a brushstroke of her grandmother's life, paving a way for Jenna's own resurgence of creativity. She felt an insatiable need to create, to breathe life into these words through her artistry. Perhaps these revelations could not only bridge the gap between her and Tyler, but also reignite a legacy that would empower them both to confront their own sorrows and triumphs. Suddenly aware of the stillness in the house, Jenna instinctively glanced at her watch. Hours had melted away, and the sun would soon dip beyond the horizon. She needed to share this treasure of understanding with Tyler. The unfiltered truths of their matriarch could illuminate the path for them both. It might awaken the bond that slowly frayed between them. But then a chilling thought crept in. What if Tyler didn't care? What if this journey led her to confront his apathy rather than mend their relationship? Her stomach tightened. The fear was raw, a palpable reminder of the stakes involved. Resolute, she gathered the letters, returning upstairs with the weight of the past clutched in her hand like a lifeline. She had a plan, and it involved exposing not just her grandmother's history, but her own burgeoning identity as an artist, driven by a desire to heal. As she set the letters on the kitchen table, the evening shadows grew longer, casting doubt over her intentions. Would sharing this legacy spark a renewed connection, or would it push Tyler further away? The question hung heavily in the air, demanding an answer. Unsure yet determined, Jenna turned to her paints, each color promising a world of possibilities, while the echoes of the basement resonated within her. The time had come to face not just her past, but the unseen hurdles in her relationship with Tyler. What would he discover when faced with the reality of their shared history? And would it be enough to reignite the light she feared had all but extinguished? Jenna stared at the letters strewn across the table as if they bore an incantation that could reshape her world. The afternoon light filtered through the kitchen window, momentarily lifting the shadows that swirled around her thoughts. She gathered her brushes, squeezing the tubes of paint in her palm like a talisman, ready to express the emotions that had swirled within her during her time in the basement. Each stroke she envisioned mirrored her grandmother's defiance, a splash of color against a canvas that had long been white and waiting. Despite the fear nibbling at her resolve, Jenna felt an urgency bubbling to the surface. A moment could transcend time. Perhaps revealing her grandmother's history would ground their fragmented relationship in something tangible. Armed with creativity as her steeds, she set to work, mixing hues that spoke of love, loss, and resilience. The brush danced on the canvas, sculpting tumultuous skies and vibrant fields, a testament to her grandmother's indomitable spirit. But as she painted, doubts clawed at her, threatening to derail her progress. Would Tyler really understand the weight of these memories? Would he embrace the revelations, or would he dismiss them as relics, irrelevant to his present? Her strokes faltered and she grabbed a tissue to wipe away the paint smeared on her hand. This wasn't merely a representation of her ancestors' struggles. It was a hope, her hope, that their connection could deepen amidst the storm swirling around them. Each letter echoed in her mind, and suddenly, Jenna remembered her own artistic aspirations, long buried beneath layers of doubt. She had allowed fear and uncertainty to strangle her creativity, to place it in a box akin to the trunk she had just emptied. But now, as she unleashed her talent onto the canvas, the realization dawned on her. Perhaps these stories were not just her grandmother's, but also her own unfolding narrative. Hours passed, eclipsed by her fervor. As Jenna stepped back to survey her work, she allowed herself a moment of pride. The image before her was striking, a tableau of struggles, victories, and a refusal to succumb to despair. It pulsated with a vitality she had almost forgotten. This was what she needed to share with Tyler. Not just words from a long-lost ancestor, but a celebration of survival and spark of hope that rang true through generations. The sun had surrendered to dusk when she heard the familiar sound of her front door creaking open. Tyler's voice floated through the corridor, laced with a casualness that starkly contrasted the turmoil in her chest. She had rehearsed countless conversations in her mind, each one fragile and swaying between confrontation and revelation. Would tonight welcome intimacy or estrangement? With her heart thundering in anticipation, Jenna made the decision to set the stage for their reconnection. The kitchen, awash in hues of deep red and gold from her painting, would serve as the backdrop for the profound exchange she hoped to foster. As she plastered a smile on her face to greet him, she mentally prepared for the forthcoming dialogue, steering it to the narrative she conjured. "Hey, Jenna, what have you been up to?" Tyler's voice reached her as he entered the kitchen, a hint of curiosity sparking in his eyes. In that instant, as fear vied for dominance against her newfound resolve, she realized this was her moment. Would he lean in to hear her truth, or would he retreat, sensing his discomfort beneath the weight of history? As she gathered her thoughts, Jenna's pulse quickened. This was the starting point, the threshold separating her past and future, her art and their story, the fragile thread that could tie them closer or unravel them completely. "Tyler, I found something in the basement," Jenna started, steadying her breath to match the rhythm of her words. Something that could change everything. A flicker of concern crossed his features, the question lingering between them like the untouched letters on the table. Would he step into this chapter with her? The moment hung, thick with tension, as Jenna realized she was not just sharing her grandmother's history but mustering the courage to unveil her own. Jenna took a deep breath, her voice barely a whisper as she met Tyler's gaze. "It's about Grandma. There are letters that tell her story, things I never knew. It's a connection to her that I need to understand, and I think you should too." His brow furrowed, curiosity mixed with apprehension. "What do you mean?" The question fell heavy in the air, wrapped in the weight of unspoken history. Her heart raced, the canvas behind her echoing the vivid tales simmering within. If she were to bridge the gaps, she needed to expose the layers of her grandmother's struggles, just as she had exposed herself on the canvas. This was not merely about revealing past hardships. It was about rediscovering herself, reclaiming her voice. She faced so much, Tyler. The letters talk about her life during the war, about hope in the worst moments. Jenna pressed on, her resolve forging strength through each word. "I think there's a lesson in it for both of us. I want to share it with you." Tyler crossed his arms, his defensiveness flickering under the warmth of her passion. "Why does this matter now? What if it's just old baggage?" The doubt struck deep, like an unexpected twist of a knife. Hadn't she just fought through her own insecurities to come to this moment? Did he not see that her creativity thrived on emotional honesty, on grappling with the very stories that defined them? Her mind raced, processing the weight of his question, the darker shadows of uncertainty creeping back. Jenna clenched her fists, resolving to push through. Because it's not just about the past. It's about who we are today, and what we stand for. My art, our relationship. It's all a tapestry woven from the fibers of our histories. If we want to grow, we have to face where we come from. Silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating. But within Jenna's chest surged something potent. the power of her words intertwined with the memories she had unearthed. This was her exploration not just into her grandmother's life, but into Tyler's and her own intertwined narratives. Okay, he relented, but the hesitation remained in his eyes. But I need you to explain more. What exactly do these letters tell? Jenna stepped forward, vulnerability spilling into her tone. They're letters of resilience, of defiance. She had dreams, conflicts, fears. Things I thought might not connect to our lives. I've spent too long believing they were just relics. She paused, feeling the heartbeat of her own personal development charge through the conversation. But maybe they are more than that. Maybe it's the legacy to fight against that has shaped you, shaped us. As she spoke, Jenna watched the tension in Tyler's posture shift subtly. She sensed a crack in the barrier of skepticism, a flicker of empathy igniting as her words painted images of their shared strength. Her canvas, once solitary, now pulsated with a vibrancy that demanded their combined acknowledgement. Let me show you, Jenna said, glancing at the painting, rich with colors that vibrated against the dim kitchen walls. Let's read the letters together. See what they reveal about us, about our story. The realization dawned on her. This was an act of bravery. Each moment steered Jenna deeper into her own self-acknowledgement, a path toward acceptance of the artist she had long forgotten. An exhale released the tension she carried. Tyler's gaze softened, a glimmer of understanding unthreading through the heaviness. In that moment, Jenna could see the dawning of possibilities, not just in her relationship with Tyler, but in her own burgeoning identity as an artist, a storyteller. To share those letters would mean opening up the floodgates of her own creativity, facing fears with art as her weapon. Then, as if to pull the rug from beneath her newfound confidence, Tyler's expression shifted from curiosity to confusion. What if some things are better left buried? What if this only complicates us more? The words clanged like bells, pushing against her fragile enthusiasm. Now Jenna stood again on that threshold, but the stakes were higher. Would she press into the unknown, risking the delicate fabric she had begun to weave with Tyler? Or would she retreat into comfortable obscurity? Jenna hesitated, the tension sparking a fire in her resolve. It was time to confront not only the past, but the fears that had long bound her. The history had to be unraveled, for both their sakes. Then we face it together, she countered, a quiet strength threading through her voice. Let's see what's hidden, whether it's healing or chaos. It's time to uncover the truth, Tyler. The door to their connection stood just ajar, a fragile invitation to delve into a shared journey. As she prepared to share the letters, Jenna felt an unexpected thrill rush through her veins, entwining with the anticipation of what lay ahead. But the tension hung still above them, thick with possibility and fear, swaying precariously between clarity and confusion. Would they both have the courage to dive into the legacy together, no matter what they might find? As they lingered on the precipice of revelation, Jenna felt that the moment for unveiling the past approached, tantalizingly close. The storm sifting through the cracks of their relationship, ready to either cleanse or consume them both. The dim light of the kitchen flickered as Jenna faced Tyler, a maelstrom of emotions rippling beneath her skin. The weight of her grandmother's letters felt more tangible now, an invisible thread that connected her past to an unknown future. This moment was fraught with uncertainty, yet in her core, she sensed a turning point. She had reached a precipice, and the choice to leap into the depth of shared history lay before her. Jenna took a step forward, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for the letters stacked precariously on the counter. Each envelope felt both intimate and overwhelming, like tiny vessels filled with the essence of her grandmother's life. It was daunting to think of peeling back the layers. Would they be rewinding a narrative of pain to explore the scars? Or could the insight derived promote healing for her and Tyler? Do you really want to do this? Tyler's voice was softer now, laced with an unexpected vulnerability. His inquiry hung in the air, heavy with implications. Jenna wrestled with her thoughts, weighing the risks against the rewards. What if their shared journey unveiled unpleasant truths? After all, she barely grasped the depth of her grandmother's past, much less how Tyler might respond. More than anything, she finally said, resolve slicing through the latent doubt. We owe it to ourselves to understand where we come from. To know our origins isn't just about heritage. It can illuminate our path moving forward. Jenna carefully opened the first letter, her breath hitching in her throat as the familiar looping handwriting spilled forth. A wave of her grandmother's presence washed over her, that same fierce spirit in the ink. The words danced into life, recounting moments of fear, longing, and an indomitable will to fight for survival. With each line, Jenna recognized fragments of herself, traits she had thought were unique. They were not merely relics, they were echoes of a legacy rooted in resilience, one that offered profound lessons about endurance in the face of adversity. Listen to this, Jenna urged, glancing over at Tyler, who leaned in closer, intrigued despite his earlier reservations. As she read, her voice took on a passionate cadence. The letters bared witness to her grandmother's struggles during the war, the hope that flickered and sputtered but never extinguished. Fragments of dreams, once obscured by generational silence, now laid bare before them. Tyler's expression morphed as he absorbed the stories. His posture shifted, the lines of tension softening ever so slightly. Jenna could see the gears in his mind turning. In that space, his earlier defenses were eroding, and this was a pivotal moment. Perhaps one that would shatter the walls keeping him at bay. What did she want most? Tyler interjected, fascination gripping his voice. She wanted to be heard, Jenna replied, the intensity of her emotions surging forward. To be seen, just like me. This parallel struck a chord in Tyler, igniting something in his eyes that Jenna had not noticed before. A kindred spirit emerged from behind the layers of his skepticism, and it sent ripples through her uncertainty. Maybe, just maybe, they were both seeking validation, both grappling with the weight of histories that had shaped them. Read this part, she urged, excitement bubbling within her. It was a segment where her grandmother spoke about embracing femininity during the harshness of wartime. It resonated with Jenna's recent experiments in her paintings. Colors, textures, exploring form and vulnerability. As they immersed themselves deeper into the letters, Jenna felt her fears begin to unfurl, transforming into a picturesque tapestry of emotions. She was no longer just the granddaughter. She was a vessel to honor her grandmother's voice while discovering her own. Yet, amidst the cathartic flow of shared narratives, a gnawing sensation crept in. What would they do with all this knowledge once it was digested? Would the lessons drawn from the past spur them forward, or would it only deepen existing fissures? This thought hovered like a cloud of doubt, darkening the vibrancy of her newfound illumination. Tyler's gaze drifted back to her, unguarded and sincere. You said we need to confront where we come from. What if confronting those truths pushes us apart? The question posed a daunting reality, like a looming shadow at their backs, whispering a warning. Jenna's heart sank at the thought. The idea of losing Tyler over the very journey meant to connect them was unnerving. But she knew avoidance would only breed resentment. They needed to tread carefully. Then I suppose we'll have to navigate it together, she responded, her mind a flurry of unanticipated possibilities. The navigating may get messy, but maybe that's part of the process. It's about the journey. She watched as Tyler considered her words. The tension dwindling in the air brought forth a fragile energy. They were piecing together a mosaic of understanding. But as they lingered on this dynamic threshold, Jenna understood the distinction between comprehension and acceptance. The letters may unveil monumental insights, yet her heart pulsed with the awareness that true connection goes beyond mere understanding. The letters lay unfinished on the counter, thousands of tales still waiting to be unfurled. But a realization quickened Jenna's pulse. Not all narratives would lead to light. Some might emerge cloaked in darkness. The fear of what remained unsaid surged through her veins as she understood that to continue would require confronting their shared uncertainties. As Jenna flipped to the next page, a visceral fear clutched at her stomach. Would she be ready to face the stories highlighted in the shadows? And more importantly, would Tyler remain by her side as she unraveled her grandmother's truth? A truth that could redefine both their paths. The letters promised revelations that might strengthen their bond, or fracture it entirely, leaving Jenna teetering on the edge of raw honesty, yearning for clarity while dreading the potential chaos that lay ahead. Jenna's fingers trembled as she scanned the next letter, her heart racing at the flicker of fear and anticipation coursing through her. The ink was still fresh with her grandmother's life, and as she began to read, she felt the sensation of an unseen weight pressing upon her chest, urging her onward yet hindering her resolve. The new letter spoke of betrayal, an emotion that shattered her initial sense of connection. The words painted a story of fractured trust within her grandmother's friendships, juxtaposed against moments of fleeting joy and unexpected laughter. Jenna's breath hitched as she absorbed the depth of her grandmother's pain, the emotional thorns that had lingered long after the laughter had faded. "Jenna, are you okay?" Tyler's voice sliced through her thoughts. Concern etched into his expression. She looked up, his wide eyes reflecting genuine worry. "It's just hard to reconcile this image of her. I never thought she could experience such deception, especially from those she loved." A practiced facade of confidence cracked, revealing the uncertainty beneath. Jenna feared that as she unraveled her grandmother's truths, her own foundation might also tremble. Maybe this is what we need to confront, the complicated aspects of her life. Tyler suggested, leaning forward, tension evident in his posture. People are rarely simple in their experiences. They're layered, just like these letters. There was more comprehension in his voice than before, and Jenna felt gratitude stir within her. She didn't want to navigate this alone. The burden of emotional history weighed more than she had anticipated. In a way, she realized she'd been anticipating validation from Tyler, not just as a partner with whom to share this journey, but as someone who could carry a piece of her grandmother's legacy alongside her. As Jenna continued to read, she began to identify with her grandmother's despair, finding parallels to her own insecurities. Wasn't she also battling betrayal in her own life? Her past choices clouded by a desire for acceptance? The letters forced her to confront her own vulnerabilities, revealing paths she had neglected while weaving through the complex tapestry of her emotional life. Weighty silence enveloped them as they sat in the intensity of their shared space, punctuated only by Tyler's occasional murmurs as he processed the narrative. But beneath that shared determination, hidden doubt simmered. What if the revelations posed were overwhelming and tore them apart? What if instead of healing, they found themselves further isolated in their truths? There's betrayal in love, and life seems to mirror it. Tyler spoke, his voice firm yet thoughtful. But it can also lead to understanding. There was something profound, a spark within him that urged Jenna to wonder what other hidden layers existed beneath her own surface. "Do you really believe that?" she challenged, a frown knitting her brows. "Understanding sometimes hurts. Sometimes it reveals aspects of ourselves we're not ready to face. Sometimes the only way to heal is through confrontation. Isn't that how we evolve? By tackling uncomfortable truths?" His words enveloped her, wrapping her in accountability she hadn't expected. Jenna's gaze faltered, casting downward at the scattered letters, each one heavy with the echoes of her grandmother's life, each revealing raw, unsettling truths. Beneath the weight of her resolve, Jenna recognized that she had not fully prepared for the plunge. The fear now coiled within her was distinctly tangible, weaving between apprehension and resolve. "Then let's continue," she resolved quietly, the determination slipping back into her voice, though fear still lingered beneath the surface. "Together." Tyler nodded, and for the first time, Jenna noticed an alignment between their aspirations, an interconnectedness that lay within shared history, even when tinged with pain. They delved deeper, layer by layer, each letter turning them further into the depth of her past. But with every revelation shared, the mounting weight of her grandmother's secret burdened Jenna's thoughts. The impending confrontation loomed larger with each unraveling narrative. "Maybe it's a good thing we're digging through this. Knowing the truth is powerful, don't you think?" Tyler added, his voice filled with a mix of trepidation and newfound strength. Jenna's heart felt heavy, yet simultaneously invigorated. She pondered within. How would they muster the courage to confront whatever lay ahead? Just as they prepared for another leap into the raw honesty embedded in the letters, a slip of paper danced in the breeze of the kitchen window. A note neatly folded with her grandmother's elegant script tantalizingly visible from its edges. It had somehow gone unnoticed, hidden under the weight of the other correspondence. "Jenna?" Tyler's voice echoed softly again, but her attention was drawn to the note that seemed to call her name, wind teasing its edges. What secrets did it hold? Her hand paused above it, dread and curiosity mingling in equal measure. The moment of truth hovered before her as she prepared to unveil a mystery that could irrevocably change everything they had just started to understand. Jenna's hand trembled slightly as she reached for the folded note, her pulse quickening at the thought of uncovering yet another layer of her grandmother's life. The weight of Tyler's gaze pressed upon her, intensifying the uncertainty swirling in her mind. She felt the air grow thick with anticipation, each breath a reminder of the emotional journey they had embarked upon together. With careful fingers she unfolded the note, revealing her grandmother's distinctive handwriting, neat and flowing across the page. The words whispered of hidden moments, a life painted beyond the limits of mundane reality. As Jenna read, her heart constricted, absorbing the revelation that emerged. A final confession of love and loss intertwined, a vulnerability her grandmother had never shared aloud. "Jenna, what does it say?" Tyler's voice broke the spell, the urgency in his tone grounding her thoughts. It's like she's speaking directly to me," Jenna murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. The note detailed a love affair that had blossomed in the shadows, a relationship that challenged the very relationships Jenna had always regarded as unwavering. Each sentence echoed the notion of choices made in the name of love, some beautiful, and others laced with regret. Your grandmother faced more than just betrayal. Tyler mused, leaning closer, his shoulder brushing against hers. She grappled with the intricacies of her heart. "This is personal." Jenna nodded, and yet the connection felt heavier than it had before. The bravery her grandmother displayed, navigating love's uncertainties, illuminated the path Jenna was currently walking. But did she possess similar courage? As she sat biting her lip, a flicker of self-awareness rose within her. Was she truly ready to confront her own complicated relationships? The note went on to reveal not only her grandmother's passion, but also the choices that came from it. The sacrifices, the choices made that ultimately affected her relationships with others. Jenna felt a sharp pang of recognition. She couldn't help but see parallels between her grandmother's choices and her own insecurities in love and friendship. "What are you thinking?" Tyler's soft inquiry pulled her from her introspection. "I'm realizing," she started, her voice steadier now, "that understanding someone's complexities, their past, doesn't excuse their mistakes but offers clarity. My grandmother was more than what I perceived." "Exactly. We define ourselves, Not just by our choices, but by how we reconcile them. Tyler's words struck a chord deep within her, igniting a flicker of determination Jenna wasn't sure she possessed. The moment felt electric, almost liberating, as Jenna contemplated her grandmother's hidden passions. The revelation served as a double-edged sword. It inspired her yet raised more questions than answers about her own heart. What would it mean to embrace the multifaceted nature of her relationships? As the sun dipped low outside the window, casting shadows around them, Jenna took a deep breath and made a choice. I need to understand this. Not just for her, but for me. The resolve echoed in her mind, strengthened by Tyler's unwavering presence beside her. They would explore the layers of deception together, reach into the uncomfortable parts of life, and reclaim the narrative not just of her grandmother's legacy, but of Jenna's own unfolding journey. Let's go back to the letters. I want to uncover everything, she said, a determined fire igniting within her. The myriad paths of her grandmother's life seemed to beckon, urging Jenna to confront her own messy history intertwined with love and betrayal. As she turned her focus back to the letters, the tension began to shift, setting the stage for the difficult discussions that awaited. Jenna felt a sense of empowerment wash over her, a recognition that she held the key to not only her growth, but the possibility of understanding the heart-wrenching complexities of love, both past and present. Then, as she reached for the next letter, a sudden realization struck her. What if more secrets lay ahead, capable of shattering the foundations of her understanding of family and belonging? The excitement mixed with dread, creating a potent cocktail of anticipation. Whatever she discovered next could reshape everything she thought she knew. With steady hands, Jenna embraced the uncertainty, ready to confront whatever truths awaited her in the heart of her grandmother's story. Would she find a way to reconcile her own fears and insecurities? Or would the journey uncover even deeper betrayals within her own life? The adventure continued to unfold, leaving her breathless with the knowledge that every layer she peeled back could lead to either freedom or a reckoning she was yet to imagine. As Jenna's fingers grazed the edges of the next letter, a sudden chill crept down her spine, mingling with the warmth of the sun setting outside. The faint rustle of the parchment filled the space between her and Tyler, who remained poised at her side, his expression a mix of curiosity and concern. This moment felt pivotal. It was the threshold of something profound, a gateway to truths, waiting to be unearthed. With a deep inhale, Jenna unfolded the letter, revealing more of her grandmother's untold history. The slanted lines of ink danced before her eyes, weaving a tale that hinted at unspoken fears and desires. Each word was steeped in a longing that echoed Jenna's own struggles. Jenna, if only I had been brave, the letter began, the haunting words reverberating in her mind. Tyler's voice, tinged with care, pulled her back to the present. What does she say? It's as if she regrets not living authentically, not following her heart, Jenna responded, aware of the growing knot in her own chest. Her grandmother had lived in a time where societal expectations stifled individuality. And yet, the desire for freedom had pulsated beneath the surface. Doesn't it make you think about what you've been holding back? Tyler's question landed heavy on her heart, demanding an honest self-reflection that felt both terrifying and liberating. Jenna's mind raced, mapping her own hesitations. The parallel was undeniable. How often had she buried parts of herself for fear of judgment? The letters were not merely about her grandmother. They were a mirror reflecting Jenna's own journey. A journey marked by the unexpressed love for her craft, the friendships she hesitated to deepen, and the romance she failed to explore. I feel like she's teaching me something about courage, Jenna said softly, the realization coalescing inside her. What if I could finally step into my own truth, like she wished she could? Then do it, Tyler encouraged, his tone firm yet gentle. It's time to let your voice be heard, No more hiding. The clarity in his words ignited something within Jenna. The urge to break free from the confines of fear swelled in her chest. She was ready to embrace her vulnerabilities, and in doing so, honor her grandmother's memory. With renewed determination, Jenna dove deeper into the letter, searching for more clues. The twisting narrative of love and regret enveloped her, each line revealing layers she had never fathomed, the bittersweet impact of choices made. There, within her grandmother's words, lay not only tales of passion, but also of loss, that led to growth. Jenna's heart pounded as she began to understand. Embracing complexity was not just about revealing the truth, but also about accepting the imperfect nature of life. As she reached the end of the letter, a peculiar note slipped out. Another photograph. A face, unfamiliar yet oddly captivating, stared back at her from a time long past. Jenna felt a shiver of intrigue course through her. This was a mystery she had not anticipated. Who was this person? What connection did they have to her grandmother's story? "Jenna, are you okay?" Tyler's voice was concerned, but Jenna's curiosity had already taken flight. There's more to find. This picture, it's someone significant." The implications burned brightly in her mind, spiraling questions anew. What if this person held the key to understanding her grandmother's choices, her desires, her dynamic life? A door creaked open within her heart, filled with the promise of new discoveries, yet tinged with apprehension. She didn't just want to uncover secrets. She craved understanding, to not only rewrite her grandmother's story, but to reclaim her own dominant narrative. Yet, as the curtain lifted on this fresh mystery, a nagging doubt pursued her. Could she truly handle the impact of what lay ahead? With disbelief and excitement pulsing through her veins, Jenna realized that this could change everything she believed about her family's legacy and her own identity. With a steady resolve, she tucked the photograph back with the letter, her mind racing with possibilities. The next step would demand even more courage than before. As Jenna prepared for this journey into the heart of her grandmother's past, one thought remained. The most profound truths often come shrouded in shadows. What would she uncover? And would it alter the very foundation of her existence? Jenna stood before the canvas, her brushes poised like warriors ready for battle. The flickering light and vibrant colors swirled around her, tempting her to unleash a torrent of creativity that had long been stifled. Driven by newfound resolve, she was prepared to delve deep into her grandmother's past, confronting painful echoes in hopes of not just healing, but transforming her own future. In the days that followed, Jenna focused intensely on her art. Each stroke became a reflection of her explorations, not just of Grandma Ruth's letters, but of her journey as an artist and a mother. Within her, a profound understanding began to develop. She realized that confronting her fears and uncertainties was not just about unveiling the past, but also about accepting the essence of who she truly was. A woman defined by her passions, not limited by her circumstances. Painting became an expression of liberation. As Jenna splashed colors onto the canvas, she poured her heart into the imagery, weaving the tales of her grandmother's resilience into the very fabric of her artistry. With each layer painted, her connection to Grandma Ruth deepened, blurring the lines between past and present. She found strength in shared battles and triumphs. Through her grandmother's hidden stories, Jenna unearthed her own suppressed dreams. Tyler, inspired by Jenna's commitment, began to embrace his own creative impulses too. What had once been a mere preoccupation transformed into a passion. He picked up a pen, writing poetry that spoke of youth, love, and the complexities of growing up. The shared atmosphere of creativity ignited a warmth in their home, filling the gaps that once felt insurmountable. Tyler, who had slipped into rebellion, now began to reconnect with his emotional depth, allowing his fears to become fuel rather than shackles. One afternoon, Jenna invited Tyler to the farmhouse, which had now evolved into a bright, inviting space filled with art. Together they began to create, blending their stories into beautiful expressions on canvas and paper, colors swirling together to embody the bond they were rebuilding. "Mom, I never knew you could create like this," Tyler marveled, studying her latest work, vibrant with energy, yet layered with introspective shadows, reflective of their experiences together. Jenna met his gaze, recognition flooding her heart. She saw her son lighting up not just at her artistry, but at the burgeoning relationship they were forging anew. "I've hidden myself long enough, Tyler. It's time we face our truths, yours and mine. We're weaving a new story, one built on understanding and acceptance," Jenna declared, feeling a wave of empowerment wash over her. This moment signified a tremendous shift. They were no longer bound by fear or misunderstandings, but rather embraced by potential. Weeks turned into months, and as Jenna exhibited her artwork locally, she received commendation not only for her skill, but for her authenticity. Reviewers spoke of the emotional nuance in her pieces, of how it resonated with the struggles of single parenthood, loss, and rebirth. It was exhilarating to see her creations acknowledged, a well-deserved recognition that showcased her unrelenting perseverance. At a small gallery opening, surrounded by friends and strangers alike, Jenna spotted Tyler admiring one of her most personal paintings, a vibrant representation of her grandmother's fading letters, intertwined with colorful swirls, embracing the complexities of their lives. "I'm proud of you, Mom. This is powerful," Tyler remarked, gratitude and admiration evident in his voice. "You turned pain into something beautiful." Jenna's heart swelled with pride. Their conversation, once shrouded in resentment, now colored with warmth and connection. "Thank you, Tyler. But I couldn't have done it without you," she replied, recognizing that the transformation in their dynamic was a shared journey, a tapestry embroidered with truths explored together. Facing their vulnerabilities not only rendered them closer, but infused their lives with newfound purpose. As the night waned into an early morning haze, Jenna pondered all that had transpired, overcoming obscurity and stepping into a place defined by resilience. The inheritance of her grandmother's farmhouse had literally and metaphorically become a foundation for their family's legacy, a story rich with complexity, love, and connection. She smiled as a street lamp flickered outside, lighting the path before her, newly brightened and vibrant. Jenna had tamed the shadows of her past and confronted her fears head-on. With each vibrant stroke of paint, she had reconstructed her identity as an artist, one fulfilling the potential buried deep inside her all those years. She had achieved a profound personal resolution, proving resilience could weave threads of beauty from the very fabric of chaos. Now, Jenna stood firmly on the precipice of her own existence, equipped with solid confidence and recognized competence. Her new position as an artist pulled from personal experience resonated deeply, her creations echoing with the wisdom learned through painful yet fruitful exploration of her history. This chapter was no longer shrouded in uncertainty. It was a bold declaration of who she had become. A mother, an artist, and most importantly, a woman unafraid to rise again. Join this journey of transformation and personal achievement. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Engagement matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.